Hey y'all, welcome to Suppers and Soirées, where we host for connection, not perfection. Hi, my name is Michelle Mize, and I'm the founder of Cookery, and I'm your host for this podcast. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm so glad everyone is here, and I am so glad to talk about the topic that we are tackling today on Suppers and Soirées. It is all about hosting gifts. Oh my gosh, y'all, I get this question all the time. What to gift or not to gift. I've been in debates about would you bring a gift at all? Um, I have really had a lot of fun talking about this topic, especially in the last year and a half since I launched Sun Cookery. It became a huge point of contention at times when I had been discussing why we have the cookery, which is to revive the lost art of hosting at home, which has then immediately turned into, well, how do you feel about hosting gifts? So I think this is such a great topic to cover, especially as we are headed right into the holiday season. We are in the thick of it, and the traditional hosting season. I know that some of you out there are love to host year round, love to host regular gatherings. But I think all of us at some point, whether you consider yourself a host or not, this is the time of year when you are definitely hosting maybe at least one gathering in your home, a family gathering or a friend gathering, or maybe for work colleagues. You are probably going to host something, my guess is. And I know for sure you're definitely going to be a guest at one of these great events. So let's tackle hosting gifts. Let's just dig right in, start talking about it. And I expect some emails or comments or messages after hearing some of my opinions, but I hope that I can at least put a new perspective out there. And while we're reviving the lost art of hosting at home, we can also revive the lost art of great hosting gifts. Okay. So, all right, what is the purpose of a hosting gift? Let's cover that first. All right. You're a host. You're opening your front doors. You're having people into your home, which means you're going to be probably picking it up or cleaning it up or organizing it in preparation for having guests. You are coordinating a date with people to get people to come over. That requires adjustments on your calendar and organization. Let's see, you're going to likely maybe host food and beverage, or whether you're hosting it and investing in all that, or whether you're outsourcing it, you're thinking about it and planning it. You're probably thinking about entertainment and music, not to mention all the cleanup after your guests leave, all that good stuff. That's hosting. And it's overwhelming and it's fun for some people. And for others, it can be exhausting. But the sheer fact that someone has offered to host is so generous. It's really such a great gesture and it's lost. And so when you get invited to someone's home, show up with something, please, a little something, and not a bottle of wine and not food. And we're really going to dive into those because I know it's going to create heated debate, which is why I decided not to have a guest on this show. I thought I'll just throw my thoughts out there and then I'll wait for the barrage of opinions. So anyway, bear with me here as we cover all of this. I'm just so excited. All right, so let's talk about some of the reasons, or let's focus on how to get out of your own way when it comes to hosting gifts. And meaning, what are the things that are holding you back in giving a hosting gift? Or maybe why have you abandoned this idea altogether? And so I thought I would share with you a couple of the things, or a handful of things I've heard from different people that are all reasonable. And I want to list them out because maybe this is what's in your head. All right. So I've heard financial constraints and increased cost of living. I get it. I can appreciate that 100%. And so we'll talk about some ways to still show up with a thoughtful token of appreciation without, hitting the pocketbook too hard. I've also heard, a thank you note. I always send a thank you note. That's my thank you. Doesn't that suffice? Well, questionable but thoughtful. I love getting a note in the mail. I really do. And I would say you should do that anyway, but it should also include maybe a little token when you arrive. We'll also dig into that later. I've also heard, well, there's just a shift towards casual gatherings and regular gatherings. So, do I really need to bring something to a regular gathering? Or if something's casual, I don't need to show up if someone just invited me over for coffee, right? We're going to talk about that too. I've also heard cultural change and younger generations just view this as an outdated task to do. No one expects that. And I would, again, we're going to tackle that too, that I just flat out disagree. Also, I hear it's not the social norm anymore. Digital invites, a text message after to say thank you, a photo of us together. That is my hostess gift. I've also heard that just the normal etiquette, things are just less, are more acceptable to pass on gifting. We don't need to gift, 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 gift. And then I've also heard time constraints and just last minute planning or poor planning are another reason why hostess gifts are often overlooked. So I am here to say, I hear everything you're saying. I can appreciate every one of those perspectives. But let's talk about why you should give that gift, right? It's just showing gratefulness. And a gift doesn't have a monetary component to it. Let's start with that. There does not need to be a monetary component to a gift. A great gift is thoughtful and intentional. It can be handmade. It can be just the smallest little $5 token. I have some ideas for that. It's just a way to say thank you. And I don't know, I feel like I have all these voices in my head right now because I've had so many conversations that I'm wanting to um, uh, cover everything. But let's talk about how you might tackle a hosting gift, if say there's just financial constraints. Okay, I've got a really easy one for you and a simple idea. Anyone who hosts or who likes to entertain regularly, or even if they don't, but they've opened up their home to you and you need to come up with something, and maybe you're just on a budget this week or this month or this year for that matter. A nice unscented set of votive candles, just it can be a 6-pack that you can pick up at any one of the big box stores, and a pretty set of matches. Do you know how nice that is? It's, just in case the host, you could always give it to them and say, just in case you need a little ambiance later, or if you need to relax it in the tub after you throw this amazing event. I just want to give you a little something to brighten up your day and say thank you. That is so simple, and it's under $10. I know that it is. You don't even have to throw in the matches. You just give a little beautifully wrapped package of white candles or beige candles, just something neutral. And for Pete's sake, do not give the ones, the little tea lights that are in the metal containers, okay? Just a nice plain set of white votives is such a great way to say thank you. And like I said, you could say something like, just to brighten up your day tomorrow after you clean up after this great shindig that you're throwing for us. So and I would definitely include just a little note with your gift as well, so that they know who it came from. I've hosted lots of events where people walk in the door and they're handing me beautifully wrapped bags or little things, and then there's no name on it, and then I get it. And of course, I do want to say thank you for the hosting gift, but so don't forget just a little note. Hey, looking forward to tonight. Thanks so much. Sign your name. Let's talk about food and drink as hosting gifts. Okay. I think handmade food, I love people that cook from their heart or make something special that comes from their home or something they love and they want to share. That is incredibly thoughtful. And if you're going to bring food without being asked to bring food, then I would say this: make it a dish or a baked good or a treat or whatever, and say to your host when you give it to them, hey, this is for you to enjoy tomorrow when you're tired from having this event, when you just want to be off your feet, or here's I don't know, a quiche I made so that you can pop this in the oven in the morning because I'm sure you're going to be tired. I don't want you to have to cook for yourself the day after throwing a glorious event. That is the only way I would ever bring food as a hostess gift. It's something, it shows them that you're thinking of them, that that you see the hard work they're going to put in, and that's your appreciation for having them over. You're taking a load off of them for the day after. I think that's so thoughtful. And like I said, I love homemade food and I love to taste other people's stuff. So that's the only time I say food is acceptable, because here's what happens. And I've had this happen. People show up with something and they just thought, well, you gave me the menu and I just thought I would bring my favorite bread, or I wanted to bring a dessert to add on to that. Unless the host asks you to bring a specific dish, don't do it. It's so stressful when someone shoves a plate of food in your face right when you walk, when you're greeting them at the door, and you've already got your table set, your menu set, you have a plan, and then you feel this pressure to, oh gosh, I want to serve this, but it doesn't work. So again, if you want to bring food, make sure it's for the host to enjoy the day after or to put in the freezer for later, et cetera, et cetera. All right. I think I've beat that one long enough. But while we're talking about food, let's talk about wine. Okay. Love, love, love. I used to love, especially in my younger days when cash was tight and I threw a party, and it seemed like I always had more wine or bottles of liquor after the party than I did before. So, because everyone brought a bottle of something, because honestly, it's either they had it in their liquor cabinet that from another someone gave it to them, or that was the easiest stop in on the way to the gathering, and that's what everyone does, right? Just stop doing that. Okay, stop doing it. Unless you can tie, maybe you had dinner with the host, months before, or y'all had a memorable night out, and they mentioned how much they loved a certain bottle of wine or a certain liquor. If you can't tie the reason behind your connection with that bottle of wine or that bottle of liquor to your host, then please don't bring it, okay? And also, just like food puts added pressure on the host to determine whether or not to serve it. I will say, as a host, when I've been given wine from people, I already have my menu played out. So I'm always gracious and I'm appreciative of it. But then I start to think, oh gosh, do they want me to serve this with their meal? And then I'm a little frustrated because I went to the effort to pair the wines that I have selected with the meal. So, that's just kind of one of those sticky gray areas. And so I just say stay away from it. Okay. All right. So we've covered that one. That is like one of the biggest ones I get. Oh, I do have one exception to the food rule. If the gathering is a potluck and you are asked to bring a dish, or for example, I did an event this last year, I think it was, yeah, last year, or it was at the beginning of this year. And I asked each of the guests to bring a cocktail of their choice to share with our group of 5 women. I absolutely would never expect someone to bring a gift when I'm asking them to participate and contribute in that way. So that is my exception to not bringing a hostess gift. That's probably my one and only exception to that. Is in that case, if this is the kind of gathering where everyone's contributing, then yes, what your contribution is gift enough. I will tell you, speaking of, one of my most favorite host gifts ever that I received but it was for a very intense party. It was a shower I threw for someone, and well, it was the guest of honor, and it was so unnecessary, but gosh, I thought it was just the best idea. She got a gift certificate for me to have my house cleaned anytime I wanted, but I didn't by the way she gave it to me. That's gonna sound funny, like she was giving me the gift certificate to make sure my house was clean before the event. No, she gave it to me as her token of appreciation for me hosting her celebration, so that I could have a clean house and wouldn't have to clean it after the event. I just thought that was so nice. Extremely generous, not expected, but wow, that was just really thoughtful. And at the time, I had 2 small kids, so it was appreciative beyond measure. So, again, you can see where I'm going with this. So it's on Cookery. We talk about thoughtful and intentional hosting all the time, and the same goes for hosting gifts. So, one of the things that I hear a lot is, well, busy, 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 or someone put this together last minute and I just don't have time to run out and get them anything. I did that too. And sometimes you just show up with a note in advance and say, I'm really excited to be here. Thanks for having me. Um, and you press forward. But here's a tip on something that I learned from my grandmother and my mom, which is to have like a gift drawer in your house. My grandmother had one, my mom had one, and it was filled with, and I have one. It's just filled with special, unique, artisanal things that I see throughout the year or when I travel. Just I see something extraordinary or out of the ordinary. I love artisanal items or small little pieces of art, things that feel classic and just unique. I kind of pop them into this drawer in case of that time when I have just missed the mark and forgotten to pick up something. And I'm always grateful to have that box because even if I can't make a direct connection to the person who's invited me over, to the host, sometimes I can make a connection to their family or their home, or even maybe they have children or pets. You never know, right? Just anything that I can pick up and put a lovely bow around and just to say thank you for hosting us tonight. So I would say the gift drawer is a great way to get over if you travel a lot, or let's just say you're a terrible planner, okay? But let's just say you always forget, then start working on your gift drawer for Pete's sake. Especially during the holidays right now with all the sales and this and that, or you know what? Anytime I go to any kind of a farmer's market or a unique gift shop, I actually try to make a point to myself, hey, pick out one thing for your host drawer, so that I had something in there and I keep it fully inventoried. And finally, I mean, I have to say it. I mean, I am the founder of a company called Sun Cookery. I created our wrapped and warmth hosting gift box specifically for these times. So our wrapped and warmth hosting gift box has 7 already wrapped items in it, and they range in terms of price point and intention and thoughtfulness and creativity. And it's a great box to have. It'll get you right through the hosting season. I don't know. I would stock up at the beginning of every year and you're covered for all those little get-togethers that you have, or even office get-togethers. There's some fun stuff in there. So if you go to suncookery.com, you should check out that box and you'll see what I mean. And I can't wait to do another version of that box because that has been a really great seller for us, right? Because I think for all the reasons everyone has expressed to me, whether it's their financial constraints or limited time planning, or I'm just not creative enough to think of the right thing, I think you'll find that box can come in handy. Um, so let's see. I think those are the biggest things I wanted to talk about with regards to hosting gifts. I hope this information was helpful. I hope I didn't spark any outrage or disgust. Being a good guest is also, there's etiquette about that. And I think the best way to start off with, on a great note for any gathering is when you're greeting people at the door and your host is welcoming you probably with a welcome cocktail or big smile and music in the background, just a small token handing over, just say, thanks for having us. It's actually really fun when you're the host and the next day, when you are tired, or maybe you're just reflecting on how much fun everyone had. It's so fun to sit down and grab your cup of coffee in the morning or your iced tea. That's what I drink in the morning. And open your cards and your gifts. And as a host, it keeps your spirits up and you're like, this is why I do it. Not for the gifts. You do it because you enjoyed having people together. You enjoyed the connections that were made. And it feels really good to know that someone took the extra effort to think about just a small token to say thanks for hosting us. So I will leave this topic alone right now. We will wrap this up. If you have any comments, thoughts, questions, and you want to have a dialogue about hosting gifts with me, shoot me an email. shoot us a message on Instagram. Would love to hear from you. And we are going to end every one of our supper and soiree podcasts talking about Sunday supper. So, with me, since it's just me today, I figured I would tell you what I think the best host gift to give if you're hosting Sunday supper. But when we have guests on, we're going to ask them if they have a Sunday supper tradition or what do they do for Sunday suppers, or maybe they haven't started a Sunday supper, but maybe we can inspire them to do that. I think Sunday suppers are a great way to start your week by connecting around your table, whether it's with your family or your closest friends or your favorite colleagues, or maybe it's your neighbors week after week. I think Sunday suppers are just a great way to create consistent connection with those you love. So on that note, yes, we do Sunday supper at my house. I love it. We hardly ever miss one because it's the one time where I can force everyone to get around the table. We have invited neighbors over. We've invited friends over. My mother-in-law, who lives near us, she comes over on Sundays. People look forward to it. It's a great way to roll up the weekend and start looking ahead. So we do them at our house. And what I want to say to you is the best host gift that I get from my family on Sundays after I host Sunday supper is clean up. Yes, my kids, my husband, they all do the cleanup. They know how much I love Sunday supper. They know that I stand on my seat and I usually am making stop or something that's roasting in the oven all day long. And so actually the best gift they give me is that as soon as everyone's eaten their last bite and settled in and said, oh, this was so great, they immediately start cleaning up and I'm so grateful. So on that note, I hope you guys have a great week ahead. Looking forward to hearing your hosting, gifting comments. And we look forward to our next Sunday, we're looking forward to our next Suppers and Soirées podcast. I think what we have coming up next is, oh my gosh, I'm going to have to look. Hold on. We have our schedule in motion. So I'm going to put on my readers for those of you who are watching us on YouTube or watching me put on my glasses for those of you listening. Oh, yes. We've got some fun podcasts coming up. So I think our next one is going to be about lessons I've learned from the one, the only icon of hosting, Miss Martha Stewart. I had the pleasure of seeing her in Charleston last weekend. She was doing a ticketed event to launch her 100th cookbook with her 100 favorite recipes in it. It was so fun to see someone that I've admired since I was very little. I won't say how young I was. No need to give away our ages here. But let's fair to say I've watched and admired everything that she's done throughout her amazing career and how much she's impacted our culture. And anyway, we're going to talk about that. I think that's the next one on the books. So y'all have a great week. Thanks for joining us on Suppers and Soirées. I'm Michelle Mize, your host and founder of Sun Cookery. Thank y'all.